Today we're getting into an argument, or maybe several. We're having a wrestling duel today here on Falls Count Anywhere.
Welcome back to your favorite Wrestling with the Business spin-off show, Falls Count Anywhere. I am your host, the varsity athlete Jeremy Bodette. With me, as always, is my friend and co-pilot, Matthew, the Professor Lambert. And we're coming at you with something a little more casual today. Unfortunately, we're not sitting in our lazy boy recliners, but we wanted to have a little fun, and we realize that there's a lot going on in the world of wrestling, and we've gone outside the ring, but we have not talked very much about our own thoughts, our own opinions. So, we're having what we call a duel this week. We've selected 10 generalized topics, things that people in the wrestling business and viewers of the wrestling business tend to have very strong opinions on. So we are going to pitch those topics back and forth one at a time. We are going to write our answers in our respective areas. We're going to share them with you, and then I think we're going to take a minute or two to defend our angles, state our case, and try to convince you, the audience, that we are right on this. So before we get started, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Help us with the algorithm. Get us out there, guys. This is good content. We're working hard for you. We were at the AEW show the other night, busting our ass, meeting famous people, except we weren't. But one day we want to, and we need your help to do that. So make it happen for us. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and let us know below what you feel about these. Some of these are pretty hot topics we've put together here.
Definitely.
So definitely interested to hear what you guys have to say, because this could actually help us launch into some interesting topics for Falls Count Anywhere in the future. So stay with us. So Matt, what is our first conversation going to be over?
First one is who we think is the most overrated wrestler. The most overrated wrestler. Who do we think that is?
We're starting.
Yeah, mine is definitely going to be controversial.
We're starting.
Make it nice and big so they can see it on screen there. All right, ready?
Yep.
Reveal at the same time?
Sure.
All right, so
I picked Kevin Owens.
John Moxley.
I did not think you'd pick John Moxley.
John Moxley.
He's not over.
Overrated.
You think he's over? He's not even that good, and you still think he's overrated. The most overrated. Why is he the most? Because he's unskilled?
Yeah, I've never enjoyed his style of wrestling.
Which is deathmatch wrestling for everyone.
Even in WWE, when he was just the goofy guy, his moveset, I've never been a fan of. I don't like the way he moves in the ring, he acts in the ring.
He spent a lot of time in Japan. He's very stiff.
He is stiff, but just everything in general, I'm just...
What about his time in S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I wasn't really watching much back then when they were still together, but from the highlights and such I've seen, stuff I've gone back and watched, yeah, he never really changed all that much.
He definitely was the black sheep of the group between the three of them. He was kind of the weirdo.
I'm just not crazy about him. But Kevin Owens, he's one of my faves. Dude, why do you say that?
I cannot figure... He doesn't look good. He doesn't have the body. He doesn't have the face. He can work a mic okay. He's pretty good on the stick. He doesn't do any of he's a big guy, but he doesn't do any of the things that you want to see big. He's not like a Keith Lee type big guy where it's like, or a Bam Bam Bigelow where it's like, oh man.
He does the high flying stuff.
He does some of the high flying. He's certainly done none of it lately.
Yeah, cracked ribs.
Okay, he hasn't done anything before 3 days ago when he cracked his ribs. I mean, seriously, when was the last time he's done a big moonsault off the top ropes? It's been a long time. And I think he's starting to get a little bit older, and his stick development he's not continuing to grow on the stick. And I just think he's holding a belt right now. Mm-hmm. So he's actually at the pinnacle. And if they're not actually putting him with Sami Zayn, they're not actually giving them a name and making them the thing. And it makes me think that they are pushing him because they have to. I don't know, maybe they're contractually obligated to or whatever, but I think he's very overrated.
See, I always liked him because he seemed like the normal guy. He seemed like,
there is that aspect.
The type of guy that you would not want to cross in a bar.
Yes.
He's the guy that makes you think, he's a wrestler. I could be a wrestler,
Yes, and you put that guy mid-card or below. you don't give that guy a belt for an extended period of time. You don't make him the world champion. You don't make him the tag team champion.
Wow.
You don't do any of that stuff with that guy. You're just like, that's his thing. He's you. You can identify with him.
Right.
And look, he's up there on the screen. You can follow the dream as well.
Wow, starting out with the controversies here. All right. So then the next one will be the opposite of that. Who's the most underrated wrestler who doesn't quite get the love they deserve?
Doesn't quite. I think this person should be the least loved and most deserving of love. This is the one that we're most likely to agree upon. So if we don't hear...
Oh, no, you're not going to agree with this.
If we don't agree with this, we're going to have a problem. All right, well, you go first.
Candice LeRae.
Oh, we do not agree. I wrote Chad Gable.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I didn't think of him.
He is very underrated. I mean...
I would agree with that, yes.
You're changing your answer?
No, I'm not changing my answer. She is very underrated, too. She's an awesome wrestler.
But you think she's more underrated?
I think he gets a lot more TV time than she does right now. They're not. We've talked about this on the main show. They aren't pushing the women's division, period. But I think they could be doing a lot more with her for sure.
But
they could do more with Chad, absolutely.
The only thing that's saving Chad is he's leaning on Otis.
Yeah.
They're like two underappreciated guys leaning on each other, and that's kind of elevating them.
He was a tag champ in NXT, though. She hasn't had any championships since she's been in WWE. She might have been NXT Women's Tag Champion.
I was going to say.
Now that I think about it, yeah.
And she was with...
Indy
Hartwell.
Hartwell.
Yeah, Indy Hartwell. Yeah. That's still the equivalent. I mean, yes, I think that these are very similar, right? They both huge potential, great athletes, especially Chad Gable.
Yep.
Outstanding athlete. Here's the thing, and I do see this, the thing that they both have in common is like when they go out to the ring and perform, it's freaking awesome.
Oh, yeah.
They do great every time. They keep performing well over and over and over again, and I don't understand. I don't know what I'm missing. Maybe it's a good thing I'm not running a promotion, because I'd put a guy like Chad. I'd put him mid-card. I mean, you're not going to give him the world heavyweight championship.
Right, yeah, but he could do an Intercontinental or U.S. title run for sure.
But you're gonna let a guy like that run. Yeah, I would probably put the U.S. title on him.
Yep, definitely.
He's got that wrestling background. All right, next we're going to do, for people that are active today, any promotion, what is the best finisher in the business?
Oh, active today. Okay, I went for best finisher of all time, but I can come up with that. Hang on.
And then just write who it is for clarity. Because sometimes people share moves,
finisher.
they call them different things. It can get a little confusing here.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
Although this one might be, I mean, it would be my top 3 ever. Certainly my top 5. Probably my top 3.
All right.
I'll go first. Black Arrow, Pac.
That is a very good one.
Outstanding. It is is it a 6?
It's a twisting shooting star.
It's a twisting shooting star off the top ropes. I'm probably going to put that below because we didn't really talk about it on our moves.
I don't think so, no.
So I'm going to find a little video of that and put it below so you guys can see what we're talking about. But very cool. Pac is a big guy, but he's incredibly athletic. We just saw him the other night. He's as big in person as he is on TV, but he's very athletic, very agile. Not everybody can do this kind of a thing.
No, definitely not. Especially not with the control and consistency that he does it with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not he's that's really exceptional.
One-winged angel.
The one-winged angel.
Kenny Omega. Yeah, that's just a great finisher. I mean,
he holds the leg, right?
Yep.
And
he does like an electric chair drop, but he drops one leg and grabs the head and kind of flips him into a bomb.
Now, what I like about Pac's move is that you can do it to anybody.
Yes.
There are people in the business that you can't do that to.
Yeah, absolutely. But it is just a nice looking move, and no one's ever kicked out of it. So,
the other thing that's cool about that is you can do the one-winged angel. You can get really creative with the setups for it.
yes.
Really creative. holding, standing up, turning, or like you can get really creative with that. You know, with the Black Arrow, you got to lay the guy on the mat and he's got to stay there. Like, there's really no.
Just as a bonus, really quick, what would you put as your favorite finisher of all time? Because that's kind of what I went with.
My favorite finisher of all time is probably probably the Stunner, Stone Cold Stunner.
That is a good one. That is up there.
Especially with the oversell that The Rock would do and stuff. Yeah, that was a great.
I'd say Razor's Edge.
Oh yeah, Razor's Edge. That's
a good one.
You know, I would have put Pedigree up there too.
Yep.
And that's
Tombstone. That's just iconic.
Yeah, in the same kind of wheelhouse.
All right, we're getting off topic.
Yes.
All right, so here's a big one here. What is a dream match? Anytime, any opponents, if you could make anything happen, what is your dream match? This is going to take a second to write.
That's a hint. We might need some context too here, especially if we're listing people that aren't spring chickens. We might want to clarify like which era
Yep.
we want to see this for.
Well, this is any era, right?
Right, but I mean, if someone has a 30-year career,
Gotcha.
if you say
Yep.
Undertaker, which Undertaker, right?
Yep. So I'll go first on this one. I'm going to say Bryan Danielson versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Oh, man, that is an interesting
And I'm thinking
83?
Danielson today versus WrestleMania 3 Steamboat.
87, yeah. 87 Steamboat.
Yeah. That,
and they both are micromanagers, right? Aren't they? Steamboat, not quite so much.
No, yeah. Steamboat. I think both of them are really much more on the fly. And that Steamboat Macho Man match, it was Macho Man who was laying out every. But yeah, Steamboat and Danielson, both massive technicians. I think that would just be such a fun. Give them a good 30 minutes. That would be such a fun match.
Who would heel turn for it? Who would you have heel turn for it?
Danielson, absolutely.
Yeah,
Steamboat was never a heel.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
would you try and make him heel turn?
No, Danielson would be much better as a heel in that match.
I would have MJF versus Shawn Michaels. And I want to clarify, this is Shawn Michaels. I like a later Shawn Michaels, 2009, 2008, when he was doing his Undertaker stuff.
Yeah, that was like his second prime.
He kind of did like a little. He was willing to kind of push the envelope a little more because he knew he was coming to the end and he was trying to break some barriers. But he had more of a face angle to him.
Yep.
They both obviously great on the mic. And I would love the build up as much as the match. And I think 60-minute Iron Man match, retirement on the line. MJF retires Shawn Michaels. I feel like that would be a barn burner. That one would be a top 10 of all time match.
That would be a good one.
Forever. Amazing.
So you mentioned who would turn heel, so let's do that one next. What is the best heel turn? And this could be best executed or most iconic or however you want to.
I mean, it's kind of like it has to be very good, right? I mean, if it's your favorite and it's not very good, what the heck? But
good, you go first on this one.
Just some clarification here because there is a couple different flavors.
Yeah,
I picked, and anyone that has watched previous episodes of False Count Anywhere is not going to be surprised at this, but I picked the great Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
I was thinking that one.
Birth of NWO. I don't need to go into too much context here. Probably one of the most iconic moments in sports entertainment history. But, and of course, the birth of my love of professional wrestling. But he was such an iconic face. Eat your veggies. Nobody saw it coming. I don't even think, and I haven't gone back, but I don't even remember like whispers. I don't remember people like the dirt sheets writing anything like that. I mean, it literally was like Hulk Hogan's creative control in full bloom.
I recently rewatched this. I've been rewatching the whole Nitro era. I'm about spring of '99 now, but when I was watching this area, fans were starting to get tired of him and were starting to boo him, but there was still no no inkling that he was going to turn. It was definitely a surprise.
He could smell the crowd.
Yep.
He knew what he needed to do, and he did it. So, exceptional.
So that one did occur to me, but I think another one that's definitely iconic would be
Oh, yes.
Shawn Michaels in the barbershop window.
Poor Marty Jannetty.
Breakup of the Rockers.
Of the Rockers, yep.
And that was the first time he went singles. When you think heel turns, you think the barbershop window.
And that's probably the most iconic heel turn in history.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if we can put a little picture or video of him putting Marty Jannetty through that barbershop window, but that's a great moment. That was 80, 90?
I think it was 90, 91.
91, yeah.
Something like that.
That was good. That really kind of lit a fire under Shawn Michaels' career.
Yep.
Really
That
quick.
was really the beginning.
Really quick, do you have a favorite face turn?
Oh, that's so hard.
Yeah, I was looking through lists of face turns.
Yeah.
The only one, and I didn't see this on the list, but to me it's just my favorite, is when Sting joins Wolfpack.
Technically, he was already a face.
Why is he a threat to join NWO if he's a face? Remember, that's when they were doing the Sting masks. Right? So there'd be mystery people that would just be wearing Sting masks. Is it really Sting? Is it not really Sting?
He was fighting against the NWO, so he was a face the whole time. But because Luger joined the Wolfpack, he was trying to get him.
He came out, he hugged Hogan, and then he clotheslined him.
Yep.
And he ripped off the NWO shirt. And I don't know. That was 98. I was 10 years old. I remember watching it live, and I remember really thinking that he'd join the NWO for a minute there.
That was a swerve.
It was like a 10-second heel turn or face turn.
I can't think of one right now.
Face turns are tough because usually people just come back from break and everybody loves them.
Right. Yep.
Or they get injured or something.
All right, so let's skip over to this one first. Let's do best talker first. Who's your best talker?
This is in history, right?
Yeah.
This is the history of the business. Oh, man. You know what? I had an idea in my head.
I'll be surprised if you don't say who I'm thinking you're going to say.
Who you got?
Your boy.
My boy.
MJF.
Who could fight? Hey, who could? Do you even need to? I mean, you don't have to, but I'd love to hear you talk nice about him.
I mean, maybe it's because so many people don't talk like him anymore. Like, nobody is a true heel anymore like he is, or like some guys used to be 20, 30 years ago.
People are going to say, and I'm going to mount a defense for your position. People are going to say, what about The Rock?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
And my answer to them is, could you ever imagine in a million years The Rock making fun of a kid in a wheelchair and getting over?
Yep.
No. The answer to that is no. And MJF, you should need to look it up. My favorite is when the handicapped kid comes up and starts talking trash to him. He goes, "Well, I got you beat here." And he just stands up in front of the kid, and the kid is just dying with laughter. It is so good. That was my first inkling, of course, because he's my boy. That's not who I picked. I picked Paul Heyman. You cannot forget about Paul Heyman. He made Brock Lesnar work. He's making Roman Reigns work. He made all of ECW work, wrote all that stuff. He's the reason why Bam Bam Bigelow went through the ring way back in the early ECW days and won the championship. I mean, he all he does is talk, and people love him.
Yep.
And just like MJF, you see him talk at these conferences and at these cons and stuff, and you can't tell what's a work, and you can't tell what's an angle, and you can't tell what's a shoot. And that is just primo choice. All he does is talk, and it comes off very, very well. So I got to tip my hat to Paul Heyman, though I do love the fact that you picked MJF.
All right, so now we'll go back. We got the best talker, but now who's best overall wrestler? Talking, in the ring, whatever. And this again, if we're talking all of history, this is probably going to be a bit controversial. But
We are talking all of history,
yeah,
of
we
course.
know.
But
We got to stick to what we know best, and we might not have seen all of the Dusty Rhodes or Ric Flair or Buddy Rogers stuff from back in the day, whatever. So there's definitely an argument to be had here. But who's your best overall?
Eddie Guerrero.
With the old WCW spelling. Nice.
Yes, and that is the reason why I picked it, because Eddie could wrestle anybody and make them look good. He could get in the ring with Big Kevin Nash. He could get in the ring with Rey Mysterio. He told a great story, smooth transitions, on-the-fly calls, great work with it. You got people still paying homage to Eddie Guerrero, who died almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
He died almost 20 years ago, and you still...
2006?
Five, I think.
2005, yeah.
You got him going. You got people going to the top ropes and doing the Eddie Guerrero. You got the LWO that's just got relit and is going over well in WWE. That's his baby. Mm-hmm. So he can work the mic. He can work the gimmick. He can work anybody in the ring. And I just think overall, he's just exceptional. And I will fight our GM over it any day of the week and twice on Sunday. He's unbelievable.
Speaking of someone who can wrestle anybody, let's talk about a guy who once wrestled a blow-up doll. Kenny Omega.
That's our favorite commentator's best match. I think he would rate that Kenny Omega's best match, probably.
Yeah, Kenny Omega. He can talk on the mic. The crowd loves him. I already said earlier, I think he's got the best finisher today.
Is it hard for him to get heat?
No, he was getting heat really well when he was...
yeah, he grew out. I forgot he grew out the facial hair.
And he was the belt collector. And
yeah, he did the belt collector gimmick.
He's good at his face or a heel. He can work both, and he can work with anybody. So yeah, he's the best overall wrestler. A couple years ago, I would have said like AJ Styles or Finn Balor. They were up there too. Finn Balor's never been excellent on the mic.
Yeah, he's not great on the stick.
But yeah, I think until somebody else comes along, it's Kenny for my money.
How old is Kenny?
34, 36, somewhere in there.
He's a little younger. Okay, I thought he was closer to 40. We got time with him.
Maybe
then.
he is. I can't tell time, as we found out. I can't read a calendar. Let's go to the other side, though. Who's your favorite female wrestler? And I had you like your honorable mentions. I might have an honorable mention for this one, but as far as most recent work, I'm considering like most recent work, championship reigns, improvement over the years, mic work, everything, all the above. I had a couple up there, but I think I've got one that just ekes out. But
I didn't go as deep as you went, but now that I'm thinking about it, I think mine goes that deep too.
So, just eking out over Trish Stratus, who I think she's shown she still has it. Just doing that Money in the Bank ladder match a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, she broke her nose, but yeah.
Well, still, she kept going. I'm gonna say Alexa Bliss.
That's interesting because I really like Alexa. What development? What?
When she started in NXT, she was not very good at all. She has grown. I mean, she's been wrestling barely 10 years.
Is it really that long? 10 years?
She was in NXT in like 2014,
I thought
2015.
she was only wrestling for like 6.
Yeah, maybe it's like 7, 8, somewhere around there. Anyways, she has improved loads, especially when she went up to the main roster.
I will say she knows how to take chicken shit and make chicken salad.
Yeah, she knows how to react to a crowd.
That whole, that Funhouse Bray Wyatt angle that she got pulled into, which I think is garbage. She took it and she owned it.
Yeah, she knew how to work it.
She made something out of it, and hopefully she gets back soon.
Yep.
My girl is
Good one.
Mickey James.
Mickey James.
I don't know how you argue against Mickey James. She's gone across multiple promotions. Almost a 2-decade career at this point.
Yeah, 2006, 2000, something like that.
She's got the look. Unfortunately, she's out injured. She's gone all the way, since like basically before. She's one of the few women working today, along with Trish Stratus, that was around like before the Divas Championship was in existence. So
Definitely she's
one of the women that I think took us from the days of Tori and Sable and Kelly and that whole, Vince McMahon special assistant pillow fight panty era, and brought us into what we have today, which is a very legitimate women's program that's worthy of the same type of screen time that men get.
Absolutely.
And I think she deserves a lot of the credit for that.
I don't think we're debating much here.
I mean, the problem is we're both picking good answers,
I know.
and so it's hard for me to be like, no, Alexa Bliss sucks. I guess the only critical thing I'd say about Alexa Bliss is she's too young to put that on her. She hasn't been around long enough.
I agree with that.
Someone's got to have more legs underneath her than 8 or 10 years.
That's why Trish Stratus was right there, but I just...
She spent a lot of time away from the game too, right, Trish?
Oh yeah, she was
gone for...
She only wrestled for like 7 or 8 years before she retired.
Yeah, so then she retires for a long time.
Yeah, at least 10 years.
Yeah, and then now she's back. So again, that's another kind of thing I'd say about if you said Trish Stratus. I'm like, you can't be away from the business for a decade.
Maybe this one we'll argue a little bit about. Some people like this next one, but what's the weakest gimmick?
Now let's clarify. What do we mean by weakest gimmick?
Like laziest, or the gimmick that wasn't going to go anywhere, that had no legs under it, that was seemingly thrown together for no reason whatsoever. I mean, there's been a lot of bad gimmicks.
Yeah, we're not talking about racism or any of the touchy stuff. We're just talking about
Lame.
the kind of stuff that looks like a 3-year-old came up with and then didn't think about it.
I mean, think about, I don't know if this is going to be yours or not, but I'm just thinking about Kane. One of his first gimmicks was the Christmas monster.
Yeah.
And he
oh
looked like
my
a
God.
walking Christmas tree.
Oh my God, that's horrifically bad. So bad, it's good.
Yeah.
We need to have like an ironic list,
favorite.
Yeah, like ironic gimmicks. You want me to go?
Yeah, you go. Weakest gimmick. What do you got?
Roadblock.
Oh my God.
Do you remember Roadblock?
I remember Roadblock. Big ass dude in WCW.
This poor guy.
He was pushing 7 foot.
He was
like 400 pounds.
Yeah, 375. I think he was about 6'8", 6'10". He's from Rochester, New York.
Yep.
So basically a local boy.
He would come out with one of those wooden.
Basically a sawhorse.
Yeah.
I don't
caution
know
thing.
why. They kind of gave him a little push at first, and then for a long time they just had him like jobbing for Goldberg.
They fed him to Goldberg, right?
Jobbing, and I just remember just being like, I'm 10 years old, 10, 11 years old, and he's coming out, and I'm like, what is this shit? What is this crap? What is he supposed to be, a construction worker?
Yeah.
Is he supposed no
He's
development
supposed
at
to be a
all?
pothole.
No development at all. To me, it had Vince Russo written all over it. Like even
No,
back
he wasn't
then.
in there. He wasn't in WCW yet. That was like 95, 96.
Roadblock?
Yeah, he was
No.
there from early Nitro, and then he was gone in like 90.
Oh, sorry, you're talking about Russo.
No, I'm talking about Roadblock.
He was back in '98.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He was before Russo.
Okay. Okay, maybe I just attacked Russo unnecessarily, but there's a lot of other stuff he deserves to be attacked for. Yeah, it was just bad. It was just bad. It was just here. Hold a saw. Wear a yellow shirt that says Roadblock on it, and that's the totality of your gimmick. And to his credit, he worked it for years and years, and he managed to make a paycheck off of it. So
Yeah, Russo gave you guys like the Maestro and the artist formerly known as Prince Iaukea.
now we know why I thought it was Russo.
Mine goes back a little further than that, and is a bit more iconic, but still lame.
Oh, the Gooker.
The Gobbledygooker.
Oh my God! We need to put a picture in here or something
we
because
will.
people aren't going to know what this is. Can
We
you
will.
describe for the fans what?
The Gobbledygooker. It was at I think it was at the same show that Undertaker debuted at Survivor Series 1990, because there was some fear that the Undertaker was going to debut from this giant egg that was on
Oh
the
yeah.
stage.
Yep.
But no, the egg hatched, and out came the Gobbledygooker, which was a cartoony, not even a cartoony, it was just a weird-looking turkey bird thing. Looked more like a baseball team mascot than a wrestler. Yeah, it's just been a parody ever since.
Dude, if we
After that debut, it went nowhere.
if we lined up every gimmick in one continuous line from like 1988, 1989 in WWE all the way to today, it would look like the ramblings of an insane person. Think about it. Same show. You've got The Undertaker next to that. Like, there's no the insanity doesn't ever. Although that one didn't last very long, at least.
No, that's what I mean. They debuted. It never didn't. The crowd hated it. They were just laughing. It went nowhere. And then the Gooker would just pop up every once in a while for a nostalgia pop, just because people remember how ridiculous it was. All right, so our last one here.
This one I'm going to have an honorable mention for.
Yeah, this one, there was a lot to pick for this one. We're going to go with our favorite story arc of all wrestling. And yeah, this one was tough.
I'll let you go first since how I went first last time.
So again, I got to preface this. This might be a little controversial. My memory's not so good nowadays, so I went with something a bit more recent. Big fan of NXT, you know, NXT Black and Gold, 2014 to 20, whenever they switched to the USA Network and started doing the multicolored crap.
That was when they had like Asuka, right? Okay.
Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens,
Yeah.
all of them. But the DIY breakup from 2017 to 2021, it was like 4.5 years.
That's your favorite story arc?
Tommaso Ciampa versus Johnny Gargano. The matches they had.
That's true. That is a match made in heaven.
Were phenomenal. They had over that time, they had three major matches. During that time, Ciampa wins the NXT Championship. Both of them turned heel at one point. They had a quick reunion, then they fell off again, and yeah, it was just an overarching storyline that took months and even years through into the pandemic. They were still going at it. I mean, it was...
Yeah, there was a good rivalry there.
Excellent rivalry, excellent story. No one was expecting it. It just came out of nowhere. It was just excellent story. And again, my memory sucks, so I had to go more recent, but it was such a great rivalry.
There is no... There is no greater disappointment today in the world of professional wrestling than what has happened to those two men.
Yeah.
Talk about unbelievable potential crashing down to earth.
Yep.
I can't imagine they got the look, they got the gimmick. Ciampa's a great heel. Great heel.
His run with the championship in NXT was phenomenal.
Johnny goes over with the crowd so great. They got looks that are similar enough to be rivals with each other, but different enough to be individualistic. And they both have been utter failures on the main roster.
Because they're too short. McMahon thinks they're too short. They're running NXT as a tag team, DIY. They were the most over team in NXT.
Yeah.
And they were having great matches with FTR, the Revival, with Alpha Academy, Chad Gable. Every match they did, even with Authors of Pain. Those guys couldn't work with anybody. And they had excellent matches with them.
Yeah, they are very solid.
Yeah.
It's very unfortunate what happened to them.
So, your favorite story arc?
My favorite story arc.
Oh.
173-0, which really didn't start. Yep, that's the Goldberg streak. He won 173 matches in a row in the late 90s into the early 2000s. It was broken by Kevin Nash at Starrcade. 98. Sorry, yeah, it didn't go into the 2000s. You know, what makes it so interesting to me is it worked. Like, how do you make that work? Could you imagine getting a guy over 173-0, and then when he goes 173-1 to the biggest guy in the business, everybody's pissed.
Yep.
Everybody hates it. There's nobody bigger in the business. I mean, people were angrier about that than they were about The Undertaker losing to Brock Lesnar.
Nash had just started the Wolfpack. He had just broken off from Hogan in the black and white NWO.
Yep. They wanted to put him over.
The Wolfpack was huge. They were faces.
They wanted to put him over, and they made it work. Like you could tell they didn't know what it was.
It happened though. That's what everyone was pissed.
It was, but the movement itself was very organic. You could tell. Okay, he had the look. He was a beast. Nobody knew who he was. They wanted him to come out, and they wanted him to squash a few times, and then start a feud with somebody. And he got over so hard.
The crowd was Loving it.
And of course, he's notoriously difficult to work with in the ring, so guys didn't love working with him. But
His matches only lasted 2 minutes.
he would most of them were squashes, but it would go over. I could not imagine squashing 150 matches and the crowd still loving me and never getting go away heat. Never. Yep. I mean, that's just unbelievable. And then I had an honorable mention, which is the Undertaker streak, which again is another one.
Yep.
People really didn't start talking about it until I got to like 10-0, 8-0, 10-0. And then it just became this iconic thing. And then, of course, the storyline of the Undertaker, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, that whole thing, 2009, 2012. Mm-hmm. And of course, it had a tragic ending with Brock Lesnar, which was very undeserving. But yeah, just the fact that both of those things kind of started organically and then became the most iconic thing in the business at the time. The thing that everybody talked about. I mean, I can remember being in college and like freaking out at every near fall when it looked like The Undertaker was going to lose to Shawn Michaels in 2009.
Yeah.
Just freaking out. Like, you can't let this happen. The Undertaker cannot lose. Yeah, that was really cool. It's hard to do that in an organic way.
Yeah.
So, well, those are our picks, guys. Let us know what you think down below. I'm actually particularly interested to hear who everybody thinks is most overrated at this point, because I think there's a lot of overrated talent out there. So let us know.
It's John Moxley.
Let us know who you're most overrated. You know, we didn't agree on anything.
No.
We came close once or twice.
Sure you would have said MJF for talking.
Like I said, very close second. And then literally I had MJF, and then as I'm writing MJF, I'm erasing it and I'm writing Paul Heyman. Because you don't think of him. He's not a wrestler, you know. But so yeah, let us know what you guys think down below. I'm going to be reviewing them. Definitely interested, so hit us up. Don't forget social media. Twitter, X, was down for a couple of days, so unfortunately we couldn't get our AEW show content up. We were all over Facebook on it for you guys. So thanks a lot for being there if you were. But I'm going to make sure that all that stuff gets uploaded to Twitter, all the videos, all the photos, all that stuff that came along with it. We did get some interesting behind-the-scenes shots that you guys should totally check out. And really
sitting right next to the tunnel that Blackpool Combat Club walked out of. So.
Yeah, so there's some really cool video of that. Did you get video of Claudio coming back?
Very quickly, yes.
Okay, so we might have something up for that. So be sure to check it out. Wrestle with Biz and Wrestling with the Business at Facebook. As always, please tune in every Friday, every Monday for your favorite wrestling commentary and content. But until then, you keep watching, and we'll keep wrestling with the business.